Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to this channel. We appreciate it if you like this video.
Also have a podcast. Check it out in the description.
We're proud to be presented by Tito's Handmade Vodka.
Go make yourself a cocktail right now. We love Tito's and sodas.
Crafted to be savored responsibly. Does Kittle change if Trey Lance... Do things change for George Kittle if Trey Lance is the quarterback?
Well, you know what I was thinking as we were walking out of practice is, and these two guys are compared often, Travis Kelce and George Kittle. And if you go to Travis Kelce, when he first got there, it was clear early on he was really talented. They were a good team. They were a playoff team. And he was 72, 85, 83 balls those last three Alex Smith years. And it was 5-5, 4. I mean, scoring touchdowns, catching in the 70s. Like, historically, he's a stud. I mean, he's a Pro Bowler, right? Those type years. Like, he was viewed by people that played fantasy football, that liked the Chiefs. Like, we got a really good quarterback. Then this guy named Patrick Mahomes shows up in 2018. He went to 103, 97, 105. So he's basically averaged about 102 catches, 20 plus more than he has with Alex, where he was established as himself as a star. He went to a completely different level, Guy. And 2 of the last 3 seasons with Mahomes, he scored double-digit touchdowns. Why wouldn't you just ask yourself, well, he's just playing with a much better player. So if you're playing with a guy much more physically gifted, and where Kittle and Kelce really have in common is one of their separating, greatest advantages is their separating speed. They can fly for tight ends. Kelce's probably a little taller than Kittle, but Kittle plays big because he's so willing to jump up. Obviously, George has battled some injuries. Travis was consistently healthy, but I just don't see how he could be a way more productive player if he plays with a much more talented quarterback. Now, I'm not even trying to insinuate, because I had a couple people text me kind of messing with me, like, you're getting a little ahead on this, like, in the league, like, he can't really be as good as the hype and what you guys are saying. I'm telling you, I'm just seeing it. I think he looks pretty good. But basically and it's just a natural reaction in the NFL. Can we wait till he plays a couple games? Because I do think an easy one for a lot of people is like, what is the next Mahomes? We've been hearing that now for about 4 years. And Patrick had to do it in games and earn the respect. So this guy, if he can get in there and play well, like, I think George, I still see how George doesn't go to another level.
I think it's easy to forget because
Kelce really did.
George Kittle and Kelce have something else in common. They both have early October birthdays, just like us. Libras. Great. I don't care about the Libra part, but early October birthdays are a great time to have a birthday.
I do. We're sensitive, good people.
And is that what we are? The scales?
Yeah,
the scales.
I don't know.
But I think I kind of forget this because he's battled some injury stuff, but George Kittle is the age right now that Travis Kelce was the year before Patrick Mahomes got drafted. So George Kittle is right now the age that Travis Kelce was when Travis was 2 years away from playing with Mahomes.
How old is George right now?
27, will turn 28 in October.
And Kelce's going to be 32 this year.
Kelce will be 32 this year. So, it could happen a little earlier even for George than it happened for Kelce. I think the other part of it with Kittle is, again, part of what makes Kelce, part of what helps Kelce is just the team he plays with. There's other dangerous players on that team. One thing I think as I watch Trey Lance run, this is obvious, but the runs that Trey Lance makes are valuable. It's the threat that he might run is also going to be incredibly valuable for the other quarterbacks, for Ayuk, for Debo. I mean, they got Debo lined up next to him in the backfield. I can only imagine what Kyle is thinking with that. There's going to be a lot of weird extra stuff that Kyle can do with Trey beyond just Trey keeping the ball and running. It just gives you one more opening. I think one thing you and I talked about yesterday was Brandon Ayuk could have a big year, blah, blah, blah. But he does need, ideally, he's not, you can't have Debo hurt and Kittle hurt and then everyone can key on Ayuk. Right, those guys healthy is going to matter, but the threat of Trey Lance running is going to help too. So, and with Kittle, if you think there's going to be a run, then he can sell the block because he's a real blocker. Yeah. So there's just so much. Quick interruption to tell you to click on DraftKings in the description and use the promo code HAM.
And if you want some meat, butcherbox.com/ham down below. Free lobster tails and ribeyes. A defining attribute in Kelce's career is since 14 he's missed 2 games. 7 years he missed 2 games, right? And obviously it's some Kittle's battled some injuries. Like he stays on the field. We all agree. And again, just going to these practices for a long time, like he's a special player. You don't need to be, Ron Wolf to go out to practice and know that guy can really play and just move around and just look like a fucking beast. If he stays on the field,
Kittle.
I'm talking about George, yeah. If he stays on the field with a more talented quarterback, special players only get better. It's just that cut and dry. You play with better players. Think about Stephon Diggs, who had established himself as a really, really good player. And Cousins was fine. Cousins gets there, and they were productive together. And then he goes to a guy who was playing at a level, what would you say, 30, 40% above Kirk Cousins? Like just a completely different level. You could argue a couple different levels. And Diggs it felt for like a long period of time, like, is Diggs playing the best in the league right now, him or Devontae? And I think last year he was widely considered a top 3 wide receiver, home run trade, and an unstoppable play. You watch the Bills game, he dominated. Because when you're a skill guy, wide receiver or tight end, and you just take a jump with a better, guy pulling the trigger, you're just going to be more productive, right? Because you're getting open a lot when the guy misses you. That's one thing that we saw last year with the Niners when the backups come in. You see it all around the league with bad quarterback play. Good players get open. I'd say especially now more than ever, just because I don't have a threat of getting killed over the middle. Not as many people are mugging me at the line of scrimmage. It's never been easier, even though I'm not trying to diminish. It's hard to get open in the NFL. But for the highest level guy, it's never been easier just to gain a little ground and find a little open grass. And George, with his speed, is just going to find fucking open grass.
And with Kyle.
And then if Trey can just whoop. Like they will run that play down the seam till the cows come home, right? Because he's running by everybody.
Right.